Right, welcome back to the second part of the show. Definitely better late than never. This is Good Morning Boss, second segment. It's all about the morning conversation. And today we want to take time and discuss matters to do with the education status in the country. How is it so? Are we talking about the Form 1 joining the different secondary schools that we have in the county and in the country at large? Whether if the teachers, the peoples themselves, as well as our schools are prepared in terms of the infrastructure. Those are some of the things that we are seeking to find out. Of course, not forgetting the 100% transition, whether if it's a reality or it's just a fallacy, as they say. But of course, to assist me into digging deeper into matters to do with the education sector in the country is none other than Mr. Omar, who is a teacher by profession and is currently the chair of the Kenya Private Schools Association in Mombasa County. Good morning, sir.
Morning.
Good to see you.
Yeah.
Right. For the benefit of my viewer, maybe who is Mr. Omar, what does he do and where exactly does he teach?
Mr. Omar is, first and foremost, I'm Omar Mbudi. I'm a teacher by profession.
Right.
And I'm doing some other businesses within this country. I'm also a farmer, doing farming in Lunga. Currently, I'm the chairperson of the Kenya Private Schools Association in Mombasa County.
Right.
I own schools in Mombasa. I have Mount Everest Academy in Kwahola, Mugongo. I have Al-Farisi Education Center in town, the former Mombasa Secondary. So I love education.
Right.
I love giving services to the Kenyan child. Yeah.
Very true. How do you juggle, Mwalimu, between farming and teaching? You know, you've mentioned you're doing some bit of farming.
Yes, I like farming. I'm doing farming. And I'm doing to my best of the best.
Right.
In Mombasa, I'm managing schools, but every weekend I'm at home. Rural.
Lunga now.
Lunga. That's where I'm managing my workers. You see, each and everything you need to have best management. So that you can motivate your workers on how they can perform much better the way you want it.
Right.
So every weekend I'm at home and they are doing the best. I'm keeping livestock, I'm doing agricultural farming. And it's a good job because the more I sell my agricultural products, that's where I'm earning money, and it can also assist in the business sector, a school business sector.
Right.
Yeah.
Very true. My guest, like I mentioned, he never disappoints. Teacher and also a farmer. Mwalimu, so much has been happening in the education sector. This weekend we saw the NAT change in, it's called what, change of guard. And we saw the newly elected Secretary General, Mr. Collins Oyu. What do you make of that news?
It was good. A change is as good as a rest. Session has overstayed in that position.
Right.
Since NAT was NAT, until NAT now becoming a dead organization.
Right.
So personally, somebody from the Private Schools Association and most of the public teachers are my colleagues and my friends. And I heard them crying over session. So personally, I felt very happy.
Right.
I joined my public colleagues, teachers, in celebrating the moving of session. I'm also happy because session could even bringing a lot of conflict to the private schools.
Right.
There was a time the government wanted to give us 7 billion during the COVID-19 era when it began. The government, through some other agencies, wanted to give us 7 billion, and the government wanted to give us a lot of incentives so that we can also be assisted in uplifting our private schools.
Very true.
But just so now joined the war and say the private school cannot, let them not be given the money, let them not be given the incentives.
Right.
Because those are private, they are owning private schools, they are getting a lot of money. And I want to tell the public and even you people, we don't gain anything from private schools. We are only offering services to the Kenyan child. We are offering quality education. In our motto as Private Schools Association,
Right.
we partnered with the government to offer quality education.
Mm-hmm.
Partnered with the government. That's why the Ministry of Education has given us certificate to operate our schools.
Right.
So we partnered with the government, the Ministry of Education, to offer quality education in this country.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't run our schools as businesses for profit maximization. But we normally offer services, the normal services that are offered. Because once we give the chances to the private, to the public, the government cannot be having more schools as we have to accommodate all the children. So we are there as stakeholders to accommodate a lot of children in our private schools and offer employment.
Right.
The subordinate and even the teachers. So we are also assisting the government in offering
Right.
jobs vacancies.
Now, for the coming in of Mr. Collins or you, Mwalimu, do you feel like things will change now?
Definitely. Sosion was there to benefit himself. But Oyo, I'm seeing, if you look at Oyo, he's coming in now to save the teachers.
Right.
Yes, because teachers are saving their money so that they can benefit by the end of the day. But that money is not there. Sosion could even bargain. It reached a time where Sosion now is supporting the government 100%. Everything the government gives out, he says yes, yes. You see. And initially, Sosion could even oppose everything the government giving the policies.
Right.
So with the coming of Oyo, personally I'm happy because I know the structure of the NAT now will come to its own direction. Yeah.
Right. And do you have faith that going forward we may see NAT coming back to its place?
NAT will come out, believe me or not. NAT will come out to its big picture.
Right.
Yes.
Now, secondly, Mwalimu, in the papers today, we are told that the government seeks to employ more than 10,000 new teachers. What do you make of that as well?
It's a good idea, especially our Kenyan teachers that have not been get employment, they get employment. But now to the private schools, we are not happy. Because most of the teachers that will be absorbed by the government, these are our teachers. Currently, they are teaching in our schools.
Right.
Now, where we are heading, we are going to. This is now the third term of the year.
Right.
Now we are coming to the first term, whereby class 8 now are now approaching their class 8, their candidature. And now here comes the science teacher now will be absorbed by the government, by TSC. Here comes as a director. I'm depending on my teachers to work effectively so that they can bring the productions and the performance. Here comes this teacher now is now posted to a government school. And there can be almost 6 teachers within my school.
Right.
You'll see it has inconvenienced me as a director, as a management. So I want to urge the government or the TSC, it's better sometimes they consult the private sectors when they come to employment. We don't deny. Because let them get employment. But now they are affecting our systems of education as far as the private schools is concerned.
Right.
Because around 5 teachers that can leave my school. And now getting more teachers that have TSC registered becomes difficult.
Very true.
Yeah.
Right.
So we are affected in one way or the other.
Mwalimu, talking about the operations around the private schools and how you did collaborate with the public and the Ministry of Education together with the TSC, how is the situation like in terms of how you guys used to work? Is the connection there? Is the collaboration even cordial?
We have a very good cordial relationship with the government.
Right.
They came out with a policy that we should have teachers that are registered by TSC in our private schools.
Right.
For which that one is good because that is professionalism.
True.
Let the teacher that teaches in a classroom, be a teacher. Trained well, registered by TSC, then delivering in our classes.
Right.
That's much okay. They gave out a policy, we implemented and we okay with that. The most bad part by the TSC now is they gave us a policy to employ such teachers, such qualifications. And now they are absorbing the same teacher that we employed, they are taking into the public primary schools, into the public secondary schools. Now, that's affect. The relationship is there. We don't deny. We have a very good relationship because the same TSC is the one sometimes gives, they take our teachers for invigilation and supervision of the KCPE
Right.
exams. So we have a very good relationship. But bad part of it of the TSC is they don't consult us when recruiting teachers. Yeah.
Right. And Mwalimu, do you feel like there is need for a very cordial and candid conversation about these matters, you know?
Yes.
It's not a matter of going to the press and speaking about them.
Yes. I think in one way or the other,
Right.
when it comes to employment, in the TSC, because our teachers normally go for registrations
Right.
and for interview. But because now our teachers sometimes, they cheat us that they are going for some funerals, burials, they have a sick person, only to realize they are going for such interviews. You see? So they are doing it secretly so that they should not lose job where currently they are, and they are going to look for also green pastures in the public sector.
Right.
So I think there should be some consultation that within this period of time, we are going to pick these teachers, so be very ready. Prepare yourself. There should be such a structure so that we are prepared psychological, that my teacher, my math teacher, by September will not be in our school. My science teacher by September will not be in this school.
Right.
So that I begin as early as possible recruiting my teachers. The moment these are going to the public school, I have enough teachers that have replaced.
Right.
You have been prepared psychological.
Right. Definitely. Mwalimu, I've had this conversation and I've had you, the private sector, saying that to some extent you feel like the government is deliberately trying to bring you down as private entities. Is that so?
Very true.
In what sense?
The ministry is undermining our private sector. And I want to speak it openly, with no fear.
Right.
That they are from very far. I want to begin with the private secondary school. When the government, when the ministry introduces 100% transition, 100% transition from a public primary school to a public secondary school.
Right.
If they introduce the 100% transition, where are we going to absorb? Where are we going to admit our children, our Form 1s?
Right.
And here comes now the government through the Interior Ministry. The minister has instructed all the sub-chiefs and the chiefs to make sure all the children have gone to public secondary school, Form 1s.
Very true.
I want to give a scenario like in my school. When the government introduces the same, I normally admit Form 1s roughly 60 in my Form 1s. But that very year, I admitted only 21.
Right.
Majority went to public secondary school. And then the following year, I admitted only 17.
Right.
Form 1s, because majority they are insisted by chiefs, and there was a meter to go to public secondary school.
So the number goes down.
So the enrollment in my school, in my private secondary school, has gone down, and it has entirely been affected with 100% transition. Of which that one I can see, it is a line, it is a policy that kills the private secondary schools.
Right.
Yes. Second, the ones that they did just the other day, for money, a selection.
True.
This one is also a direction that kills the private secondary school. Because all the Form 1 selection were done by the ministry. I was not involved. Where do you expect me to do the Form 1 selection? If I was not involved, I was not a part and parcel of also doing the selection in my secondary school. So the Form 1 selection was done. So I had to do my own way so that I can also do my selection. But only to realize majority of the Form 1s that have been selected digitally, they go to different secondary school. There's no way the government can select to my private school. I had to do my own way. And initially we used to be also brought on board so that we can also have our Form 1 selection. But here comes you are not involved. Where do you expect my Form 1s coming from? if I'm not involved in the Form 1 selection. Because you see, there's a lot of biasness here.
Very true.
Yes, so we are not involved as stakeholders. So this is the second policy that is killing the private secondary school.
Mwalimu, why do you think the government is doing so?
I don't know the agenda behind, but I think the problem comes from the minister. Because I was expecting the minister frequently to bring us on board for discussion. Because we are the biggest stakeholders of education in our country.
Right.
So we need also to be brought on board so that we can discuss the way forward about education in our country.
Right.
Yes.
Remember, as we proceed with the discussion, we'd love to hear from you. What do you have to say concerning the education status in the country? I'm speaking to Mr. Omar here, who speaks about how frustrating it is to run a private institution in a country like this. It's quite a lot to discuss as far as that is concerned. Mwalimu, coming to the Form 1 selection process now, there had been a lot of concern and conversation around it. There was blame game here, blame game there. Predominantly, paramount to that is that mostly people say, or rather those who have spoken about this matter, they're saying that you private entities are the ones who are blaming exactly how the whole process was done. Maybe you paint a picture of how it was done and what exactly don't you agree with inside the process?
We've been blaming, we are blaming, and we will keep on blaming the ministry. I don't think whether you understand it.
I'm getting you, Mwalimu.
We have been blaming the ministry. Currently we are blaming, and we will keep on blaming the ministry.
Till when?
Till we are satisfied with the processes the ministry is implementing. Until they also call us on board so that we can discuss our pinch. Because we are pinched somewhere.
Right.
We are suffering somewhere. And why do we suffer and we live in our country? This is our original country.
Right.
We're not doing business in these private schools. But we are also trying to give services. Therefore, I want to repeat these things. When they are doing selection, let them also bring the private stakeholders on board. The process begins collectively together. As they are doing also Form 1 selection, we are also doing our Form 1 selection. But if they do it alone as a ministry, where do you expect me to do my selection?
Right.
Yes. See, that is one way of killing my secondary school.
Very true.
Yes.
Right. And Mwalimu, now you, in your capacity as the chair of the Kenya Private Association, Schools of Association, what have you done exactly? You know, there are so many teachers and directors who are looking up on you. What have you done exactly in trying to bring out a solution here?
My capacity, my position currently, I'm the chairperson, Mombasa County. Our KPSA as an organization has structures from national level. Right. So mine is to advise the my national chair lady and the CEO to lobby to meet the minister, CS Mago, so that they can sit on that level. Right. I am very far from Mago. Mago does not know me. Right. But knows the structure is there. So what I can urge my national committee is to meet with the CS Mago, because currently we are suffering. They promised us the 7 billion is nowhere. Now, the 100% is also affecting us. Right. Now, the only thing that I can advise my national committee is to lobby, sit with the CS amicably, they discuss it. There's nothing wrong if they can sit on the table, discuss it, agree. Right. Yes. Very true. Mwalimu, my producer and Mr. Magoha, they come from the same village. Yes. I believe we'll get in touch with Magoha and see how you can get to him. I love the gentleman. I have no quarrel with him. I love him very much. Right. But let him consider the private sector, private schools association. But of course, so many have put on question how the leadership style of Magoha, basically, you know, how things have changed and how policies are. And today he says this, tomorrow he comes says this. What do you make of that? He's my boss. I cannot comment further. He's my boss in the industry. And there's no way you can discuss your boss. But what I can say is I want to pray to my God so that I can change CS Magoha. Very true. Yeah. The prayers, I think, have fallen to the ears of God himself. Mwalimu, turning and shifting gears now to the Form 1 report in August 2nd. It's quite a day that most people are looking forward to.
Speaking about, before even we get to the reporting day, this issue concerning 100% transition, is it a reality or it's a fallacy?
It's a reality to the government. It's a reality. The Form 1 selection that was done affected our children. Like in my school, a girl was taken to Kinagoni Secondary. Kinagoni Secondary is in Samburu.
Right.
This girl is used in this environment, Mombasa, more urban environment.
Right.
Now he's going to rural whereby can walk a short distance to look for water when there is shortage of water in the school. This girl is going now to take food that is differently from what he has been taking.
Hakuna viazi karai good.
Hakuna viazi karai.
Right.
So our children are affected in one way or the other. But later on we say it is also good because a change of environment is as good as a rest. So there is advantages and disadvantages. We cannot keep on complaining all the time. Let them have also changes in environment. But we feel if we were consulted, we would have given out a very good way forward about that. It's a good idea.
Right.
The government has brought. It's a very nice idea, but it will affect. For the first time, it will affect, and then our children will also get used.
They'll adjust.
Yes, they'll adjust, but it will affect in one way or the other. What I'm blaming, the biggest part is involvement. As a private school sector, we are not involved completely.
Right.
Yes.
Mwalimu, on the issue about maybe students selecting schools that they may join Form 1, according to the ministry, they say that you teachers fail to direct the kids on how to select the kind of schools they need to select. There was a miscalculation somewhere.
We had no mess in terms of directing our candidates in terms of selecting schools.
Right.
We gave out proper directives. If there is mess, they're just messes in Nairobi. We don't want a situation whereby we can blame our teachers. I am a director, I have my teachers, I have my head teacher, I have my teachers. They did their part. Now, if they did their part, then I think somewhere a point where I think they missed somewhere. So let not the blame be put in our teachers. They did their part, and we've been doing the same. From the word go, we've been doing the same. We had the same system. So we have not been messed somewhere, and we should not take part of the blames.
Right.
Yes, we did our part, and actually we did a very good job. That's what I can comment.
Right. Mwalimu, in your capacity as a teacher and the few years, and it's quite not few, exactly, you've been in the field for quite a lot.
Many years.
Mwalimu, do you feel like this 100% transition thing that the government came about with is something that we need as a country currently in terms of how we need to standardize the education sector here?
We need, as a private schools, we even supported. But we thought we are going also to be given some slots out of the 100% transition. It is good if you instruct the wazee wa mitaa and the chiefs that you take this one to any school within. That one is good because even the chief can say, let this one go to Highgate Secondary, let this one go to this secondary Mount Everest High School, let this one go this way. You see?
Right.
Balancing. Equality. But if you can say 100% transition but goes to public secondary school strictly, then where do you put us? Where are we now? We are nowhere. What is your agenda? Killing the private secondary school? Right. Yes.
How different could it have been?
The issue is this. My thinking and my recommendation could be this way. There should be inclusivity both in public secondary school and private secondary school. Like a school like Memo. When 100% transition, then the instruction should be, let them go to any secondary school. There should be no child that will be left at home. They should go to any secondary school. So Mzee wa Mtaa can say, let this boy go to Memo. This one go to Aga Khan. Because these are all private secondary schools. And they're performing.
Right.
Better than even some public secondary school. So that is what we call inclusivity. But now the instruction is, let them go to public secondary. Then where are we as private secondary schools?
Right.
Where do you put us? Why are we segregated? I don't know whether you're getting the same.
I'm getting you, Mwalimu.
Yeah, that's where the problem is. Yes. So if Bomu Secondary School can absorb 200 from once, I get only 2.
Right.
What is the agenda there?
Very true. Mwalimu, the assumption is out there that maybe to some extent you private schools are expensive. Don't you see it?
I want to give another blame again.
Right.
We are teaching Kenyan children. The facility is private. Teachers are Kenyan teachers. Children are Kenyan children.
Right.
And the private Kenyan children, their parents are also Kenyans. They voted for this government. You voted in 2017.
Very true.
I voted our private schools. I voted to this government. When it comes to money allocation, disbursement of funds, why should I also getting the money from the government? Because I'm also teaching the Kenyan child.
Right.
Despite that, we are paying fees. The fees that are paying in our school, it is not as much as what you people think. Like in my schools, a child is paying 6,000 per term. What is that 6,000 per term? There are schools, there are government schools that are paying even more than that.
Right.
So we were expecting when it comes to allocation of funds, the private schools also can also be allocated some funds. Can also be allocated some books. And all the motivation that the government is motivating the schools, we should also be part and parcel. We would not have offered all these fees for the parents to pay. I don't know whether you're getting this.
True, right.
We thank the ministry. At first, we used to pay for our candidates money to register KCC and KCP. And now we are thanking the government because now even our private candidates are also paid for by the government. We thank that government, we thank the Jubilee government, we thank everybody in this government. In fact, it began with President Kibaki, the previous regime. They began paying for our candidates.
Right.
And now this government is also paying for our candidates. We thank. But we wanted them also to stretch their hands more to the private schools. Yes.
Of course. And that will bring a difference.
It will bring it because the moment I get money from the government, I can manage it well. With my teachers, I can expand my schools, I can offer all the services because I'm sure this government cannot sustain all the Kenyan children in these public schools. There are very few. So we've taken a lot of Kenyan children in our school, in our private schools. We have accommodated all of them. Yes.
Right. Mwalimu, now, let's talk about August 2nd, 2021. Of course, it's the time at which the Form 1s are supposed to be reporting in their different respective schools. How prepared are you as an entity, the private schools now?
We have been prepared. We are prepared and will be more prepared.
Right.
With all these COVID-19 policies, everything, we are set. Despite that, we are running our school as a private schools, but offering the Kenyan system of education.
Right.
We are well prepared because we've undergone a lot of challenges. So we are prepared for the Form 1 coming. We've set all the tanks, set the running water, detergents, everything, social distances, sitting. So we are okay.
Right.
Yeah.
And the issues concerning the education calendar, do you have any issues with that?
It affected us, and it's also affecting us. Because now we need to go in a very high speed so that we cover the syllabus.
Right.
The terms, days of education has affected entirely this country. Not only private schools, but even the public schools are also affected. And not because of the pandemic season and this disease, we need to adjust. We cannot blame anybody because it is a disease that has come and all of us has affected. we have been affected by this problem.
Right.
So we have adjusted, despite that it had a lot of challenges, but we are adjusting. We don't want to keep on complaining. No. We need to readjust and then we move forward. If you find anybody who complains a lot, is very lazy and does not know exactly what he's doing. But I don't want to keep on blaming. Even the challenges that we are encountering as private schools, I tell my entire directors, my fellow director, let us readjust and stay focused. Let us stay focused.
Right.
Yes.
In a time like this, that maybe to some extent the private secondary schools that we have, in a time like this that they are looking forward to have Form 1s, what goes into the mind of a director?
I need to plan myself a budget for the extra educational materials, for extra employing more teachers. I need to plan more about the coming of the Form 1s, because here comes the enrollment now is adding in my school. Form 4 have gone, now I'm absorbing Form 1s. So I need to also be well prepared. Yes. Right.
Very true. Mwalimu says they are well prepared as far as Form 1 reporting in August 2nd is concerned. Quite a lot we have discussed here pertaining how exactly the process was, what are some of the concerns that they did have, and of course he is saying that they may not be complaining as much. They are still adjusting themselves and crafting their moves in trying to make sure that things run out smoothly. But Mwalimu, now, do we have a future with private schools? Somebody may be keen to know.
We have a very big future.
Right.
I don't know the agenda of the ministry, but as private directors, we have future.
Right.
Yes, very big future. But there are some challenges, very big challenges to most of our private schools, especially the young ones. They have a lot of challenges. Currently, they were entirely affected by the COVID-19 because they normally operate in some rental buildings.
True.
And during the period when the children were at home, parents could not even pay fees, so that the fees can be used as paying of the rents. So when we resumed the classes, the landlords accumulated their balances and they forced us to pay. So most of the private schools were closed down because they could not even pay rents. They could not pay workers. They could not pay all the expenses that a school needs to operate. So most of the schools closed down, and I believe there will also be more schools will also be closed down. But now here comes, I urge the government and some other agencies to intervene. This director was very good before the COVID-19 in managing his or her schools. It was very good.
Right.
And the government should look at these individuals who are capable of running an institution. If there is any challenge, natural challenge that has occurred within our country, let the government identify some potential people that are managing and offering employment and giving out services.
Right.
I would urge and advise the government, such people should also be assisted financially to uplift their businesses or schools. These are the right people we need in our country. We don't need lazy people. But if you see, I want to give an example like James C. Mwangi of Equity Bank. He started like a financial, like a self-help group. And now becomes a bank and a very big bank in East and Central Africa. You see, Mwangi needs a very good motivation and a role model within this country.
Very true, right.
There are people like Makini Academy, people like Riara Group of Schools. They began as a kiosk. They began like a kitchen banda. And then they came up with very good structures within the country, and they're offering and they're performing.
Right.
Many Kenyans have crossed through their schools, and they've become so big people.
Right.
So I want to advise the government, they should identify such potential Kenyans and get assistance so that they can uplift wherever they are. We are all affected, and we keep on being affected by all these challenges that we are suffering. Yeah, but right. I want to tell you this, there are some private schools that will have big future. Because this, the CBC system of education Currently, as a private school, we should have every private primary school should have a junior secondary come next year.
Right.
You are forced to have a junior secondary because of the system of education. Because now we'll be going from PP1 to grade 6. And now grade 7 is a junior secondary. You need to have it in your school. There's no way you can have till grade 6 and now you throw away the grade 7 to another school. That's when it will also affect your business. So every director, every private school director, we are prepared psychologically by now. We are preparing for an avenue or extra rooms to junior secondary schools within our system.
Right. Mwalimu, talking about the future of private schools here, after the release of the KCPE exam, we clearly saw that to some extent, KCC, if I'm not wrong, to some extent private schools were being flat-footed, you know. These public schools came up strongly and performed well, more than you guys.
We were affected. Our performance was affected. As a chairperson,
right,
I want to be very open and categorical.
Without fear of any contradiction whatsoever.
Without fear of any contradiction. Our performance was totally affected. What we used to perform, and we know our children. We've handled our children from January to the end of the year. And their performance was not this way.
Right.
But when we interrogated and when we made a lot of noise, we were told there was standardization.
Right.
So personally, I don't know what is this standardization. And was it done only in private schools?
That's the question now.
That's the question now. And now, as I told you earlier, I have no blame to anybody in the ministry. We made a lot of unnecessary noises. We even engaged to the education committee, parliament. It is discussed. Currently, as I told you earlier, we cannot keep on blaming. We cannot keep on putting blame to somebody. We want to stay focused now. We made a lot of unnecessary noises. Now we are keeping quiet. We are focusing to another level. So the performance, what I want to be very clear is the performance of the private schools were affected.
Right.
We were not happy because we know our children. And we do not know what happened in the marking. We actually do not know. And as a chairperson, I don't have any evidence to show that my children were standardized from 4:30 to 2:30. I have no evidence. And I don't want to tell during the marking, the private schools candidates were scrapped away 50 marks each. I have no evidence. But my biggest blame and the general blame is that the private school performance was affected. We were not happy. All the private schools directors, we were not happy.
Supposing what you're saying, Mwalimu, repeats itself, are you okay with that?
We are not okay.
Then what next?
I cannot disclose whatever we're planning. This is ours. And as directors, we have also a way forward. That's why we want our national team to sit with the CS for more discussion.
Right.
We are partners of education in this ministry, and we should not be intimidated.
Right.
Because we have no profit maximization in our business. What we are doing is offering quality education. Yes.
Right.
And we have a way forward.
Right. Mwalimu, I know it's hard to be a director of a school and running an institution like that due to the different challenges that you guys are facing. Maybe you can take us through how difficult it is to be a director of a school.
Personally, I want to tell the Kenyans that to be a director is not easy.
Right.
I want to give myself a story. Immediately after school and after teacher training,
right,
college, I became a private school teacher. But my hard working and devotion towards my work impressed parents in that particular private school. It was a hybrid academy. It was Mwingo. So impressed my directors, my employers, impressed parents. And the parents advised me to come up with my own school. Even there's a time one of my parents gave me his building.
Right.
And I started a school. And when I started a school, my directors gang up. And they ordered the police to come and arrest me. And I was arrested. I was taken to Changamu police station, Makupa, and they took me all around because they wanted to frustrate and intimidate me to go back to their school and teach because I was a performer by then. Because personally, I am very much aggressive and focused. My ambition was to have a school, a nursery, a primary, a secondary, and a university. And currently I have a nursery, primary, and a secondary. What is remaining is the university, and I've already bought land in Madagascar.
Okay.
50 acres. I want to come up with a university. So my vision is achieved.
All right.
I need to accomplish my vision of a university. But I can't really nursery, primary, and secondary. I have it in Mombasa. I have evidence to show this is my school.
Right.
My vision was to have this, and this is what I have. Now my focusing is, I want to become a member of parliament in Lunga, and I want to become a director owning a nursery, primary, and secondary and university, of which I've begun construction in Madagascar.
Right.
But I got a lot of frustrations. When I was arrested, they could come to police station, my employers, and say, if this gentleman can accept to go back to our school, we can withdraw this case.
Right.
I told them, let's move with the case, I'm ready.
There's no turning back.
There's no turning back. This journey, when I begin a journey, there's no way can turn me back. So we went on with the case.
Right.
Yes.
And here you are.
The case. I came back to my school, and that's where I am. So I want to advise my director, let's not be coward. Anybody who is coward cannot succeed.
Okay.
Anybody who looks at the frustrations, sometimes see it, look on the frustrations and the intimidation, you cannot move. When frustration comes, they come and strengthen so that we become strong.
Right.
Like me, currently now, I'm very much strong. When you called me yesterday that we need to come and have a show, I never thought of what are the questions, what are these, because come and get morning, you maswali gani, tunipatie mwanzo ndio. I have said no, I can answer everything because I'm not a coward and I'm focused.
All right.
Yes.
Very true.
Because now my objective is okay. What I'm now thinking is to become a member of parliament and to become a governor and to become the president.
Very true.
Because issues of schools are over.
The sky is the limit.
Yes, sky is the limit.
Very true. Yes. Now, Mwalimu, we have teachers who are now beginning, you know. We have young guys, ladies and gentlemen out there who are graduating to become teachers. What is this little secret of a good teacher now?
These new teachers that are coming in the field, they should not look at finance.
What do you mean, Mwalimu? With this kind of economy?
They should not look at finance. When you are beginning something, when you are doing something, don't look at finance so that you can, you depend on the finance level you offer your services. Can you be hardworking? Can you offer services so that we see your production?
Right.
You may find that teachers coming in your school needs 50,000, but the production is not even there. We have teachers around that they earn a lot of money, but in maths, KCSE, the highest got C+, and then 40 E's in mathematics. And the gentleman is getting 60,000.
Right.
We have somebody who...
Is the problem the teacher, Mwalimu, there or the students? What do you...
Education-wise, in a class of 50, if the highest is getting 90, and the second one is 70, the rest is, the problem is the teacher.
Okay. So you are trying to say I was not the problem is my teacher.
Children do not have any problem.
Right.
It's the way you nurture them.
I think he's watching.
Children do not have any problem.
Okay.
It's the way you nurture them. They are not bad children. We need transformation. Guiding and counseling, this approach, this one, until we transform our children from worst to best.
Right.
That's how we as teachers, that's our roles and responsibilities to
Right.
Kenyan children. We need to transform our children, especially cities like Mombasa, where drugs are so many and everything. We need to have a lot of methodologies on how we can handle our children to become better citizens.
Right.
So if this teacher is delivering, but not to its best of the best, but is looking at only the finance part of it, that teacher will fail. And he will fail in the school. And once he fails the school, parents will withdraw their children to some better schools.
Right.
And that school will also die. And this teacher will go to another school. And then you as a director will be left without any business. So let us, as director, let us also be very careful with our teachers. We need teachers who are hardworking. They come to school very early in the morning. They leave very late. They should be very much creative.
Right.
Yes.
Very true. Quite some bit of valid and reasonable thoughts there from my guest, Mr. Omar, who happens to be a teacher by profession, quite with a vast experience in matters to do with teaching, and he has given out some of the few tips that you as an incoming teacher are supposed to look forward to. Thank you so much, Mwalimu. All right, on that note, we want to take a short break before I release Mwalimu. You can find him at Mount Everest School in Kwahola, you say?
Yes, Kwahola and Al-Faris in Gulsham town.
Definitely, and he's looking forward also to have a university. I believe, Mwalimu, once you're done with that, you'll come back to say some bit of how you managed to get there. Right, on that note, thank you so much for your time. Of course, we're taking a short break. We'll be coming back with much more. Don't go too far.